I had something completely different planned for today, but it struck me just a couple of minutes ago that today, as I'm posting this, is my mother's birthday. She would be 77 years old. And she passed away in 2014. And I actually had something totally different planned for her birthday, too. But just time got away from me, and I didn't get everything prepared. There was something really good I was going to do to post something on her birthday. And I just didn't get everything together. So I think maybe I can just save that for Mother's Day. It's been hectic here lately for me. Having to take care of a lot of stuff, and I hope that camera's not shaking too much. But I thought for her birthday, what I would do is I would tell another of her stories. This is another of my favorite stories she told. And it has to do with race and just the way things used to be. Because I've always felt, I think one of the dumbest things you can do. I don't understand racism. I don't see how you can judge somebody or make assumptions about somebody based on the pigment in their skin. Well, my mother told this story once, and just to let her know how she was. If you were going to if you were going to say the N-word in our house, you might as well drop an F-bomb. That was not a word that was used in our house. And she told this story, and it just, I would forget sometimes the time period in which my mother grew up. She was born in 1941. But when they were living down in Menard, Texas, little town, I've got a couple of videos of Menard that I've put up. Growing up, during the 40s and 50s. This was the summer between her second and third grade year in school, so she was 8 years old. So that would have been 1949. And of course, in Menard at the time, you didn't have, so she always, that's one of the things she always hated about living in modern day is everybody living right on top of each other, as she put it. So back then, your neighbors were, your closest neighbor might be 100 yards away, and they had a family moving across the field from them at the beginning of the summer. And I've kind of already given it away, I think, by saying it was a black family. And all the kids, from both families, would get out in that field and play with each other. And there was one of the kids from that family that was the same age as my mother, so they obviously were kind of drawn to each other. And the kids went that whole summer playing in that field, no problem. If one of the families needed help with something, the other would go over there. The parents got along fine. They helped each other. Everything was fine. Well, as the summer was drawing to a close, and they were getting ready to go back to school. My mother, my 8 years old at the time, went to their mother, and I don't remember the other little girl's name, but she asked their mother, so would it be okay if me and her walked to school together? And their mother had to look at her and say, well, no, you can't walk to school together because you don't go to the same school. My mother kind of said, well, we're going to be in the same grade. We're the same age. Why won't we be going to the same school? I know this camera must be sliding a little bit. I don't have my usual setup here. But, she said, well, why wouldn't we be going to the same school? And their mother said, well, it's black folks and white folks can't go to the same school. My mother stood there for a second and thought about it and said, well, why can't black folks and white folks go to the same school? And their mother just said, I don't know, that's just the way it is. Well, it didn't make any sense to my mother, so there's got to be a better explanation. So who do you go to when you want a better explanation? You go to your mother. So she goes to her mother, my grandmother, tells her, say, hey, we're, me and this other girl, we're the same age, we're going to be in the same grade, but we're not going to be able to go to the same school. And Granny said, no, you can't go to the same school. And I said, yeah, but how come black folks and white folks can't go to the same school? And my grandmother didn't have any answer. She just said, I don't know. That's just the way things are. And it just didn't make any sense to my mother. And then my mother sitting there, I can remember my mother sitting there at 60-something years old telling me this story. It didn't make any sense to me then. And here it is, 50 years later, almost 60 years later, and it still doesn't make any sense to me. And I just thought that was a great story as a kind of a photograph of the time. Like I said, I think that that signifies the kind of person my mother was. She very much judged people on the content of their character. And I think for me that's a pretty good role model, a pretty good standard to go by. But okay, well, happy birthday, Mama. It seems like every day I figure out that you taught me a lot more than I even realized. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that story. Well, if you're new and you're not subscribed, you know how YouTube works. Find that S button. And if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for coming back. Thanks for watching.